You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. There is no easy way to talk about this, so I'll just jump into it. Everyone knows by now, Kyren Lacy died on Saturday night in Houston. The word tragedy, sometimes people often misuse. Tragedy, in a very literal sense, involves a death, by the definition of the word. This is a tragedy. I think everyone by now knows the circumstances that surrounded Kairen's death. For those that maybe don't, he was in Houston. According to the report from the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Kairen had gotten into an argument with his sister. He discharged a gun into the ground, sped off. She called authorities. Short time later, about 20 minutes or so, they identified his car. He tried to speed off. A chase ensued, and he ended up crashing the vehicle. Dash cam and body cam footage indicates that no shots were fired from the pursuing deputies, and that no shot was fired once the chase ended after the vehicle crashed. So it is believed that Kairen shot himself while he was driving and ultimately crashed the vehicle. He was pronounced dead at the scene. I think everyone also knows by now that this week Kairen was set to face a grand jury in Lafourche Parish in connection with the fatal hit and run from December, for which he was arrested in January. That took the life of a 78-year-old man. There's, I've mentioned before that, in a different life, which feels like a different life, I did news. There was an old saying that a grand jury would indict a ham sandwich. That's to say, it's very easy to get an indictment. An indictment is basically just saying that there's enough evidence to proceed with charges in a trial. It's a very low burden of proof. It's not like, this isn't like a criminal court case where you have to have proof beyond a reasonable doubt, right? I know that a lot of people feel a certain way. Some of the things I've heard are, well, there were victims in that case. What about their families? And the same thing I said when Kairen was first arrested in that case is the same thing I'll say now. Absolutely. That is tragic in and of itself. And if this had gone to trial and Kairen were found to be responsible, he would have been prosecuted, rightfully so. And it would have proven to be a very poor decision by a young person with tragic results, for which he would have paid the consequence. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. Doesn't mean he's a bad kid. It means he did something irresponsible at a young age that had tragic consequences. And those people have to go on without their loved one now forever, and that is an awful situation, and my sympathies and condolences are with them. That is true. Also true is that the Lacy family and his friends, teammates, coaches now have to live forever with the knowledge of wondering, could I have said something more? Could I have done something more? What else could I have done to prevent this? Because now they'll live the remainder of their lives without their loved one. Kenny Lacy, Kairen's dad, posted on Facebook on Sunday. He wrote, young parents, start talking to your kids at a very early age and make sure they're confident and comfortable confiding in you. Don't be cool with, I'm all right, or I'm good, when you know deep down something isn't right. Mental health is real, and for the most part, it's invisible. Don't ignore the signs, even if they may seem small. Our lives have changed forever, and this will never be okay. But God needed my baby more than he was needed here. This has to be the biggest pill our families have had to swallow, but I know the love and compassion in our families will get us through. This will never get easier, but we'll learn to live with it. Check on your kids' mental. Very clearly, the gravity of the situation surrounding Kairen was more than he was willing to deal with. So I'll repeat, both things can be true at the same time. I don't know, it is speculative for all of us to insinuate that Kairen went down this path because of the impending grand jury case that was coming this week. Don't know what prompted the argument yet between he and his sister. We'll, I'm sure, get those details eventually. But all of that is circumstantial. All of that is ancillary. The bottom line is a young person at 24 years old with tremendous potential is dead. That is a heavy reality for everyone to deal with. I can't sit here and tell you that I knew Kairen really well. I covered him for 3 years at LSU, and many of you probably know that part of one of his NIL deals that he had, the deliverables, was that he came on this show. So I did have an opportunity to have a lot of one-on-one, relatively good amount of one-on-one time with Kairen. One Sunday we went and did a sit-down, hour-long chat, he and I. And I'm a pretty good judge of character. I pride myself on that. Kyren Lacy wasn't a bad guy. He dealt with maturity issues that were very public. I mean, the first game of the season, he scores a touchdown against USC, does the shotgun celebration, gets flagged. LSU has to kick off. USC gets a short field, scores. Brian Kelly was, Kyren was, there was the video of Kyren on the sideline, apologetically pleading to Brian Kelly, and Kelly was upset about it, rightfully so. And then the Monday after that game, Brian Kelly talked about Kairen in that situation.
It's kind of like the Kyren Lacy penalty. Kyren's working on his emotional control. If you were here, that young man, I love him because he's working on that every day. That wasn't like malice. That wasn't like it. It's just, he is such a high-strung young man that's all he works on. He's in the locker room saying, I need to maintain my emotional control. I need to maintain it. He is working so hard on that. That's why I was so angry. I was angry at the circumstances, because he's working on it. These aren't guys that are just like, I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. These guys are working so hard at it. That's why I want so much for them.
With the context of the last 36 hours, that hits home even more. Kairen came on this show in the fall, and this was in September, and talked about the relationship he had with Brian Kelly.
My guy, Coach Kelly, man, it's amazing because he literally transformed me as a player, not just on the field, but off of the field. My mental has grown. It's not about me anymore. It's about the team. So he made me realize that I have to put the team first and everything else is going to come. So because when I always talk about the little details, I get that from Coach Kelly, because when you sit back and watch and really pay attention, the little details do show up. The little details that you think don't show up, they show up every single time. So when I talk about details, discipline, winning, because we all want to win. Coach Kelly always emphasizes win. What's important now? So that's how I go about it. Coach Kelly helped me tremendously.
One of the things, certainly Kairen's greatest moment at LSU will be the overtime touchdown against Ole Miss. And he was on the show after that. And if you remember the play, he scores and then he feigned like he was going to throw the ball in the stands and stopped. And I asked him about that, and he said, all I was thinking is, don't get a penalty. Cannot get a penalty. Don't get a penalty. And we kind of laughed about it because I said, man, look, game's over at that point. I think you could have chucked that thing in the upper deck if you wanted. But just from what happened in week 1 to that Ole Miss situation, it showed the progress and the growth and development. But clearly, he still had a long way to go. And unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that potential realized for Kairen, who's dead at the age of 24. But he did achieve immortality because for as long as we talk about the LSU Ole Miss series, he'll be part of it. Like people talk about Billy Cannon's run, or the night the clock stopped, or Odell's punt return in 2013. They'll talk about the overtime game in Tiger Stadium when fans rushed the field and Kyren Lacy had the walk-off touchdown in overtime. And forever, that'll be part of his story.
Here's the snap. Pump fake by Nussmeier. He's going to throw towards the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Fighting Tigers! Tigers win! Tigers win! In the right corner of the end zone. 25-yard strike to Kyren Lacy. And the Tigers indeed walk it off here at Tiger Stadium with a 29-26 victory.
I have a feeling we'll probably hear that a few more times in our lifetime. Condolences to Kyren Lacy's family, teammates, coaches, friends, those who knew and loved him, and may he rest in peace. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.